If you had asked me a few years ago what the best way to build wealth outside of your career was, I would have told you to invest in real estate. And the conversation probably would have quickly evolved into buying rental properties. Because that's exactly what I did. I bought rental properties because I believed collecting rent checks was the path to financial freedom, and owning rental properties was the path to building real wealth. For a while, it was exciting. But over time, I realized there was another side to rental property investing that people don't always talk about. I dealt with an eviction. I had an entire unit flood. I was coordinating repairs from another state and other countries while traveling. Instead of feeling like I was building more freedom, I started feeling like I had created another job. Today, I still invest heavily in real estate. It's become one of my favorite ways to build wealth outside of my W-2 career. The difference is that I invest very differently than I used to. In fact, one of my investments paid me while I was hiking in Norway, and I'll tell you about that story in a few minutes because it perfectly captures why I love this strategy. So in this video, I'll show you exactly how I invest today, walk you through a real deal where I earned double-digit annualized returns, and share some of the biggest mistakes to avoid before you ever invest your own money. If you're interested in building wealth outside of your career through real estate, passive income, and alternate investments, make sure to subscribe because it's exactly what we talk about on this channel every single week. Now let's jump in. Let's talk about why I changed my strategy. Like a lot of people, I started investing in rental properties because that's what everyone recommends. They say, buy a house, rent it out, build passive income, and repeat. And honestly, I don't regret starting there. Owning rental properties taught me how to analyze deals, understand financing, and build equity. But after growing my portfolio, I started paying attention to how I was actually spending my time. There was the eviction, there was the flooded unit, the constant maintenance and repair issues, trying to coordinate contractors while living in another state, trying to coordinate contractors while on vacation. Every time my phone rang, I wondered if another unexpected expense was waiting for me. Eventually, I asked myself a simple question. Is there another way to invest in real estate that better fits the lifestyle that I'm trying to build? Because my goal has never been to own the most rental properties. My goal has always been to build financial freedom and create more options for my future. That question led me to a strategy that completely changed how I think about investing. So, what's the strategy? Around that time, I started hearing people talk about private lending. At first, I didn't pay much attention to it. Honestly, I assumed that was something that only people with millions of dollars sitting in the bank could do. I figured, well, I wasn't in that category, so I moved on. But the more I learned, the more I realized that private money lending is simply providing a loan to another real estate investor for a project. Instead of buying the property yourself, you're providing the capital for someone else to buy or renovate it. They're finding the deal. They're managing all of the renovations, the contractors, everything that comes up. Then they're selling the property. And in return, you're earning interest on the money that you lent. When I understood that, it completely changed the way that I thought about real estate investing. This is what the banks do. So why couldn't I do it too? So let's get a real deal that I've done so that you can see what I'm talking about. This is a deal that I personally funded. An experienced investor found a fire-damaged property in Georgia that had a lot of upside after renovations. To complete the project, they needed additional capital. I lent $50,000 towards the deal in first position. My loan was secured by the property. Over the course of about 7.5 months, I received double-digit annualized returns. Once the renovation was finished, the property sold for approximately $597,000. At closing, I received my remaining interest along with my original $50,000 principal. From my perspective, I wasn't hiring any of the contractors. I wasn't managing the renovations. I wasn't taking calls from any tenants or, in this situation, any of the repairmen. I wasn't focused on trying to sell and list the property. I was able to invest in a real estate project while someone else handled the day-to-day execution. That experience completely changed how I view investing in real estate. So why does this strategy fit my life? One of my favorite memories from that investment happened while I was hiking in Norway. I remember checking my phone during the trip and seeing my monthly interest payment had come through while we were on a rest break. That moment has always stuck with me, not because of the dollar amount, but because it reminded me why I started investing in the first place. I wanted to build income that wasn't tied to where I was or how many hours I worked. Private money lending has become one of the ways that I work towards that goal. I still believe rental properties can be an incredible investment and a wealth building tool. For some people, they're absolutely the right fit as their entire strategy. But I've learned that there are multiple ways to invest in real estate, and finding the strategy that fits your life is just as important as finding a good investment. Now, if this sounds like the perfect investment, I want to slow down for just a minute. There are absolutely risks with private money lending, and one mistake I see new lenders make over and over again has the potential to cost them their entire investment. But before you ever lend money on a real estate deal, there are a few things I think every investor should understand. These are the same things that I look at before I decide whether or not to wire my money. So, what are the risks? Private money lending has risks. Every investment does. One of the biggest red flags is unrealistic returns. If someone tells you they'll pay you 20% after 1 month, I would be extremely cautious. In situations like that, there's a much greater chance that you won't even receive your original investment back, let alone an extra 20%. Protecting my capital is always priority number one. That's why I spend much more time evaluating the borrower, the property, and the numbers than I do chasing the highest possible return. Personally, I prefer conservative deals. Whenever possible, I focus on first position loans because I want my loan secured by the property. I also pay close attention to how much equity exists in the deal. Having a margin of safety matters. No investment is risk-free, and understanding those risks is just as important as understanding the potential returns. So private lending has allowed me to continue investing in an asset class I believe in while creating more flexibility in my life. If you've only ever thought about real estate through the lens of rental properties, I hope this video introduced you to another option that might be worth exploring. Now I'd love to hear from you. Before watching this video, had you ever heard of private lending, or was this the first time that you've come across it? Leave a comment below because I read every single one, and I'd love to know where you are in your investing journey. And if you're wondering how people actually get started with private lending, or how I funded my first loan without having millions of dollars sitting in the bank, I've made a video that walks through exactly how I got started. Click on that video next because I think it'll answer a lot of the questions that you probably have right now. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.